Greetings again from Miami University Regional's Career Services, and today we're going to be talking with you about building your cover letters. And so we're going to go through a slide deck to provide some information for you. So just as a way of introduction, I'm going to show you who our team is. My name is Doug Reichenberger, and I'm the Director of the Career Services and Professional Development Office for Miami Regionals. And I'm back and forth between campuses usually, so Middletown and Hamilton, primarily in Hamilton. Linda Vogt is our program associate, and she also travels back and forth between the two campuses. And she is available for resume reviews and cover letter reviews and so forth. And so we'll be talking about that a little bit later. And then Steve Wayne is our Assistant Director for Employer Relations, and he's primarily at the Middletown campus, but he is the go-to person for helping you to make connections with employers. So if you're looking for an internship or full-time career opportunities, or attending our career fairs, Steve is your point person for that, and he'd be happy to assist you. And then Emily Cardwell Snively is our Assistant Director for Career Development. And so today, Emily and I are going to be presenting this information about your cover letter and how to go about building an effective communication.
Great. So there are a few main things you need to keep in mind as you're building your cover letter, particularly what the purpose of your cover letter should be. First, it's an introduction of you as a candidate, and it should generate interest in your resume, meaning that once the recruiter or the hiring manager reads your cover letter, they'll want to go on and look at your resume. That's not to say that your cover letter should be a regurgitation of your resume. It should present yourself in a unique way to demonstrate how you would be the best fit for the position. You're going to want to elaborate on specific skills or experience that relate to the position that you're pursuing. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You'll want to demonstrate your knowledge of the company and the occupation you're seeking. You want to express your enthusiasm for the position or the career path, and then describe your plans to follow up after you have applied for the position.
So there's a basic format that you would want to follow, and it's really a business letter type format. And so you would begin your letter with an inside address. That's what's known in the industry. And so it would begin with the name and address of the person that you're writing to. Obviously, your date is up above that, but then just include the manager's job title and their employer name, and then the information, the mailing address information. And then you're going to introduce yourself through the first paragraph, and you'll talk about the position that you're pursuing and just highlighting a summary of your qualifications, very brief highlight right there. And then you want to talk more specifically in the next paragraph about your examples of how you've demonstrated your skill sets and or the experiences that you have gained through work or volunteer experiences or organizations, clubs that you are a part of. And then showing also in the another paragraph what you've learned about the organization that you are applying to. And so you'll have to do some research to know who they are, what they're all about, and what attracts you to them. And so be very specific about that so that the reader gets an understanding of why you believe you might be a good fit for this particular organization. And then if you're comfortable, it would be appropriate for you to obviously say thank you for taking the time to review your credentials, but also indicate how you might plan to follow up. And so maybe you would send an email maybe a day or two after the closing of the application, or maybe within a couple of weeks after you mail your uh, cover letter and resume to the employer.
So as you're formatting your cover letter, here are a few other things to keep in mind. Use the same font as your resume and also the same header as your resume to maintain consistent branding across all your application materials. Address your cover letter to a specific person whenever possible. This can usually be accomplished if it doesn't say in the job description who the hiring manager is or who you would be reporting to. That's what LinkedIn is a good tool for, or search the company website. Try as hard as you can to find a specific person to address your cover letter to, because that makes a big impact. If you absolutely cannot find who the letter should go to, try a position title. So director of the department or dear hiring manager, something like that. Use your cover letter as an opportunity to tell a story. And as you're telling your story, you're connecting what's on your resume, those experiences and skills, to the job description. So you're making those connections, you're telling a great story, you're drawing the interest of the employer so that they want to meet you and learn more about you. You want to be concise, so definitely no more than a page. Try to be shorter than that. But at the same time, give enough details so the reader wants to know more. Again, keep it to one page. And then we do have some samples on our website. We'll have a template up there soon. And then we'll be showing you a couple examples here today so that you can get an idea of how to get started.
So again, the cover letter format is just as you see here on the page. In this particular format, the writer actually has included her address at the top, and then below that is the date of the letter, and then the contact person that she is writing to. And then she just begins by "Dear Ms. Smith." And so be sure to find out what the appropriate title is of that individual. If that person has a doctorate, for example, then "Dear Dr. Smith." Um, and then just introducing yourself as a specific for a specific position that you're applying to, maybe even how you heard about the position, whether it was on a website or through a referral from a faculty or a staff member or a friend, however that might work out. And then in that next paragraph, you're going to be describing your experiences as it relates to the position that you're pursuing. So this is where you get to tell that story that Emily was making reference to. And be sure that it's your best story, so that the person reading it is going to say, wow, I need to know more about this person, and contacting you and inviting you for an interview. And then you'll just follow up through describing what you've discovered about that organization, and then closing with a thank you. And we have another sample, very similar to the one we just talked about, slightly different format. You can see that this person indented each of their paragraphs, but in essence is following the same kind of a format, but also included at the bottom attachments. So if you are including a resume, your reference list, or a license of some kind, then be sure to include that information at the bottom.
So we're happy to help you review your cover letters, get them into good shape. You can stop by our office and meet with our peer career ambassador. They're available Monday through Friday. If you don't feel comfortable coming into our office in these COVID times, we definitely understand, and we have virtual appointments available with me, Doug, Steve, and you can schedule those through Handshake. We can do a video call or a phone call and review your cover letter with you. And if you have just quick questions, you can give us a call. We have someone answering calls in both Hamilton and Middletown, so you can feel free to call either office.
And something else that I want to point out that we didn't specifically mention, but as you're preparing to write this cover letter, be sure to look very carefully at the job description that you have found and use that to help determine what kind of information you're going to emphasize on your cover letter. That way you're making a specific connection to the position and to the company that you're applying to. And as Emily mentioned, we are available for reviewing your cover letter, and please check out our website for more samples and other helpful information that can help you to prepare for sending your cover letters out to employers. Just also want to make a point that just as you would with your resume, save your cover letter as a PDF before you email it or send it through an application system. So save it as a PDF and then be sure to send that as an attachment to either email or on the application systems. And yeah, we'll be happy to assist with your future job search.